this and he loses another of his Corsairs. He's got to be aware that Jaedong has got scouting information on him. He's got to know that Jaedong has got burrowed units all around the map because of Jaedong's timing of his attacks. It's just so critical, and really we've seen some great things in this game. We see in this series, we've seen the effectiveness of scouting, and this is another example for players wanting to learn and wanting to improve their Starcraft game of just how effective something as simple as burrowing your units in the right positions can be, allowing Jaedong to get that massive intercept, and really Jaedong's economy unharassed and Best's first harassed going astray, really giving Jaedong the decisive advantage in this game. It's still not over for Best. This is Andromeda. This is a map more than any that Protoss players can afford to make mistakes on and still come back and still deal blows to their opponents, especially because of the fact that Best does have 3 Reavers still alive. The problem for him is that he's already lost one of his shuttles. He's now got a second shuttle out. He's waiting for another shuttle to pop out, I presume, before he really moves out. He's also got a couple of High Templar out. Meanwhile, Best has managed to sneak a drop in at that 6 o'clock expansion, and that could yet prove to be critical. Jaedong, with a bunch of Burrow Harriers, is going to intercept. Jaedong luring those Corsairs in with the Overlord, kills 3 more Corsairs. Jaedong is just laying waste. Brilliance by Jaedong. He's just sniping Best's forces right, left, and center, and Best now finally, if he didn't know yet, he knows now that Jaedong has got Burrow, and that Jaedong has been using it to just maul him all over the map, just tear him into shreds and spread him all over the map, and really Best has been ambushed time and time again, and the question is really, has the amount of damage dealt by Jaedong using, and Jaedong now using Mutalisk. It'll be interesting to see whether he's going to now try and switch and try and get complete air superiority, because he's really put, as July did, because he's really put Best on the back foot now. Jaedong, meanwhile, with an Overlord coming in, I'm not sure if that Overlord has drop or has any units in it, but he's seen that probe at the 6 o'clock expansion, and he's going to be able to use those Mutalisks actually just to take that out, so he doesn't even need to drop. Best now with the Overlord, with the Observer moving out with a decent sized force and 2 shuttles with Reavers loaded. So even though Jaedong has done massive damage to Best's air force, the key for Best is that he's got those 2 shuttles. The problem for Best is that he doesn't have a lot to defend the shuttle. Scourge is coming in. Jaedong trying to see one of the shuttles get taken out. Jaedong is surely going to pick up the second shuttle here as well, and the second shuttle gets taken down as well. Chaos for Best. Calamity. Catastrophe, storms going off. Best manages to push Jaedong drone forces away, but it doesn't matter. He's lost both the shuttles. He managed to drop one of the Reavers on the ground, but that Reaver is going to be slow as hell now, and it's going to take a long time to get to that expansion. Jaedong looks like he's also taking the expansion at the 7 o'clock position as well. Meanwhile, Best just foraying into the 9 o'clock expansion, but Jaedong meanwhile affecting grey storms by Best, catching a lot of Jaedong's units. We saw those storms be quite effective against July as well on an empty game on Andromeda, but meanwhile Jaedong is clearing up Best's forces. He's just got superior, overwhelming weight of numbers, and Best being forced to retreat with his tail between his legs, losing the majority of his forces despite some very effective storms and killing a lot of Jaedong's units, but he's just completely getting outplayed here, and really at this stage it looks like Jaedong is going to progress through to the semi-finals of the World Cyber Games Korean qualifiers, and it looks like Best is going to go crashing out. I don't think there's any hope for Best here. Jaedong now coming in with the Mutalisk. He's going to stop this expansion before it gets up and running. He had the Overlord sitting there. Best coming in with some Corsairs. It's going to actually force Jaedong away. Jaedong is going to need to get some Scourges to come and retake that 6 o'clock position. That 6 o'clock position is really Best's lifeline, because at this point Jaedong has established map control. I thought he had air superiority, but not quite. Jaedong sending in a Scourge just to try and get one of the just try and do some damage. Not able to do it in that occasion. Best replenishes ground forces, pushes out again, realizes that he's not inflicted any damage, and Jaedong really, with so many bases and so many expansions and so many units all over the map, is just going to overrun him any second now, and he's really got to do something about it. And this build that July has opted to use with the +1 defense upgrade on the Scourges is just proving so powerful, and Best really struggling in this game. Once again, Jaedong coming in with masses of Scourges, trying to find a shuttle. He actually ignored the Corsairs initially, and that's why he didn't take out all of Best's Corsairs. Best trying to use a sort of a mini choke in the middle of the map, using the barrier, the natural barrier there, just as a choke point, just to try and get some storms off. He did manage to whittle down some of Jaedong's forces, but he's forced to retreat now. He's got a decent number of forces, just a decent number of reinforcements coming in, along with another couple of fresh storms, but Jaedong chased down and killed a couple of those High Templars. He's not allowing Best to build up a force of Archons. Best has got no Archons so far, even though he's been using storms quite liberally. He's been producing High Templars at a considerable rate, and really Best just driving Jaedong obviously with the Hive up, with the Defiler's Den up, and Best just in acres of trouble. He just has no answers to Jaedong's play, and Jaedong has outplayed him completely in this game thus far. That burrow making the critical difference. Best, however, it's important to mention, has managed to get that expansion down at the 6 o'clock position. Jaedong hasn't been able to prevent it from doing that. He's now coming in with the Mutalisk, but now one of the photon cannons is already up. 3 more photon cannons coming up, and if Best is able to get those photon cannons up, it's going to be much more difficult for Jaedong to take in, and that base might give Best a lifeline to prolong this game further and to claw his way back into the game. The question is going to be that of upgrades. Unfortunately for me, in the video I'm watching, I cannot actually see the physical upgrades. There's a subtitle across the bottom of the video for some competition that's unfortunately obscuring my view, preventing me from seeing the upgrades that the players have. So I'm sorry that I can't give you that, but I'm pretty sure that Jaedong has at the very least got the +1 Scourge upgrade just from the time that it takes those coursers to kill those Scourges. And really, Jaedong with the 3 evolution chambers researching away. Best once again pouring out. He's done no damage to Jaedong's economy. Jaedong looks to have stepped off the gas a little bit. It looks like he's inviting Best now. He's now trying to tell Best, listen, I am in control of this game. You need to do something. Jaedong with a group of Zerglings just raiding around the top right hand side of the map, taking out the probe sitting at the 3 o'clock expansion that Best was going to try and use to set up an expansion there, and Best is just going to send in a group, and Jaedong's Zerglings are trapped. He's allowed those Zerglings to get trapped, slightly careless. I'm sure he can afford to lose them, but I'm sure he doesn't want to. Best trying to do that Protoss strategy of getting a massive force built up so that even with the smaller numbers, if he can just get a wall of zealots acting as a centurion shield, acting as a shield of, and looks like Best going in for another drop with the shuttle, dropping in 4 DTs it looks like into Jaedong's expansion, I believe at the 7 o'clock position, but Jaedong is aware of this. He has an Overlord sitting there. He had a burrowed Ling as well. He's also got it's actually Jaedong's main, but he's got a Sunken as well as a Spore Colony there. Best meanwhile, while using the DTs to try and detract, trying to effect an attack, while using the DTs to try and draw Jaedong away, try and lure Jaedong up to the north, attacking at the southern bottom left hand corner of the map, but Jaedong deals with it comfortably and effectively. DT's not doing any damage. He managed to take out the Sunken and the Spore Colony, but Jaedong had his Mutalisk still alive, and it's critical that he kept those Mutalisks alive because he was able to pull them back and wasn't required to pull any of his ground forces. Significantly, Jaedong not losing any of his tech buildings. 1 lone Dark Templar surviving from Best. I thought he was actually dropping the bottom left hand corner. Best actually dropped Jaedong's main from that shuttle. He's still got that 1 DT there, but Jaedong's got his Mutalisk hovering in position. Best looks like he's trying, but so far the key here is that Best's attacks have been completely ineffective. Best looks like he's making another attack at that expansion at the natural expo of the 7 o'clock position. Jaedong now with the Defiler Swarm coming in. Best using that choke, using that narrow corridor to try and spam some storms and just whittle down Jaedong's forces that way. He's got a decent number of Zealots. He's managed to get up the ramp. Jaedong unable to block the ramp. He's actually been able to get up the ramp, but Jaedong is holding off Best's reinforcements. Best now trying to go and do some damage at that 7 o'clock main, but Jaedong has got Zerglings as well as Sunkens there. Best microing a little bit better in these mini battles, but it's really not helping him too much because Jaedong has just completely outproduced him. The key here is that Best has been able to get the expansion on the 6 o'clock position. He's probably trying and take that window of opportunity that was created by those attacks as a diversion to try and get an expansion up at the 3 o'clock base. He's got a pylon up, but Jaedong has just sent a small task force just to deal with this and make sure that Best is not able to get any further expansions up. I am surprised though that Jaedong allowed Best to take that expansion at the 6 o'clock position. He could have easily denied that expansion with his Mutalisk if he had built maybe a few more Mutalisks or a couple of Scourges to provide cover versus the Corsairs. He could easily have taken that expansion down. He did not. Best coming in with another drop, this time with a High Templar. Decent storm, but Jaedong is awake to it, and the Scourge is chasing the shuttle down. The shuttle, I don't think it's actually going to get all the way back to Best's base. It is speed upgraded. Best doing his best to try and maneuver it around, but he might actually end up running into an Ern Spawn Colony at this rate. He manages to drop another High Templar. That's why he was running there. I thought he was being a little bit silly maneuvering into Jaedong's territory as opposed to trying to get back to some of his forces. He managed to kill a few more drones of Jaedong, but I just don't think that the amount of damage he's inflicting is going to be enough here. Jaedong, though, seems to have stranded himself. He seems to be stationary. He seems to be waiting for something. Maybe he's waiting for those Ultralisks. The Ultralisk cavern is obviously up, and Jaedong, I'm sure, is researching upgrades for his Ultralisks in there. Maybe that's what Jaedong is waiting for, to deliver the finishing blow to Best, meanwhile allowing Best to break against his forces. The key here is obviously that even though Jaedong hasn't really progressed in terms of the expansions he has continued to tech up, and he has killed a lot of Best's units, and Best coming in with a primary force of Zealots, running the Zealots right onto those lurkers under the Defiler Swarm, and really losing most of his Zealots in the process. He's got High Templar in to come in and spam some storms, but he's really got nothing to support. He's got no real ground units to do anything effective with those storms to follow up after those storms. Archons being built for Best, but they're going to get taken out by Jaedong, and Best really has no ground force to speak of, and Best GG's. Jaedong progresses through, and really there was not a single second in that game where Best looked like he had a chance after once Jaedong took that first shuttle down, from that point on, or even before that, when Jaedong sniped a couple of Corsairs in Best's base, Jaedong looked in assertive mode, he looked in complete control, and he effects a dominating victory here against Best. Brilliant play by Jaedong, great game of Starcraft. GG guys, this is Klazar, thanks for listening. I really enjoyed that game, I hope you guys did as well. Best, unfortunately, his quest for glory must continue. He's going to have to try and do something special. Let's hope he doesn't end up in a slump after demoralizing defeats against two of the top Zerg players playing Starcraft today in July and Jaedong. This is Klazar, thanks for listening.
자, 이런 흐름, 일단은 계속해서 펼쳐지는 경기 중에서 치열한 경기도 물론 있었습니다만은 압도적인 경기도 그 팬들의 이야기들을 불러일으킬 만한 그런 경기들이 계속 나오고 있습니다.
네, 정말 이런 박성윤 선수라든가 이재동 선수라든가 정말 그 프로토스에게 악몽가드 같은 그런 선수를 보면서 도대체 어떤 그 프로토스가 등장을 해야 이런 선수들을 제압할 수 있을지 단 하나의 실수도 나오면 안 된다는 걸 이번 경기에서 보여준 거거든요.